李尔将军是谁？今天，弗吉尼亚州政府决定推翻李尔将军在市政府广场的塑像，这是因为目前在美国爆发的反种族示威抗议游行，要求平等对待不同族裔，所以这是一个反种族歧视的又一大胜利。现在我们看一看谁是李尔将军？李尔将军呢，在美国南北战争时期，刚开始是赞同林肯的联邦政府，作为一个英勇善战的将军，他是非常有名的。但是呢，后来为了保护他的家乡弗吉尼亚州，他做出了历史性的错误的决定代表南方与联邦政府决一死战。如果他成功的话，那么美国就会分裂为北方和南方两个国家。在 Gettysburg 战，林肯带领的联邦军队几乎全军覆没，但是林肯的振奋人心的让联邦政府统一13个州的Gettysburg 演讲，重新振奋了军心，最后终于统一了13个州，建立联邦政府，而李尔将军最终也投降。
Hi, I'm Jonathan Horn, and this is History in 5. Today, I want to tell you 5 things that make Robert E. Lee the man who would not be Washington. Robert E. Lee was bound by marriage and history to George Washington's legacy. His father, Light Horse Harry Lee, was one of Washington's most trusted lieutenants during the Revolutionary War. But what most connects Robert E. Lee to George Washington's legacy is what happened on June 30th, 1831, at Arlington House. There and then, Robert E. Lee married the daughter of George Washington's adopted son. At the start of the Civil War, leaders on both sides of the conflict sought Lee's services for high command. The Army's ranking general, Winfield Scott, who Lee had served under in Mexico, called Lee the very best soldier he had ever seen in the field. He was called to Washington for a meeting with an emissary of Abraham Lincoln's. The emissary asked Lee if he would lead the Army to crush secession, and Lincoln's emissary appealed to Lee in a very interesting way. He appealed to him as the representative of the Washington family. Lee was truly torn between the state he called home, Virginia, and his love for the Union that George Washington had founded. He had served in the Army for more than 3 decades, and he was very reluctant to resign. Mary Lee, his wife, called it the severest struggle of his life. When Winfield Scott, Robert E. Lee's mentor in the Army, heard that Lee had turned down command of the principal Union Army being raised to crush secession, he said, "Lee, you have made the greatest mistake of your life, but I feared it would be so." One of the very first things that happened when Robert E. Lee cast his lot with Virginia was that Union soldiers in Washington, D.C. crossed the Potomac River and seized Arlington, the house his father-in-law had built as a shrine to George Washington. Another thing that happened was that on July 4th, 1863, when Robert E. Lee begins the retreat from the Battle of Gettysburg. The day before, Lee had ordered the disastrous frontal assault against the Union line that we know today as Pickett's Charge. If that charge had succeeded, July 4th might have been redefined as a new birth of independence for the South. But instead, it would be redefined by Abraham Lincoln, who came to Gettysburg and called that day a new birth of freedom for the Union George Washington had forged. The house that Robert E. Lee's father-in-law built, Arlington House, was originally a shrine to George Washington. It is now a memorial to Robert E. Lee. And then if you stand on the Arlington Heights, you see the Washington Monument. Right before the Washington Monument, though, is the Lincoln Memorial. And that's a powerful symbol for our country, because Robert E. Lee, for all of his connections to George Washington, is no longer the American that we most associate with George Washington. That honor goes to the man who saved the Union. That is Abraham Lincoln.